Hello, wine friends. This is Honest Wine Talk. I am the host, Herim. In this episode, I talked with Christophe Reitz, the head som of Quatrefoil restaurant in Dundas, Ontario, Canada. He is an advanced sommelier and won the CAPS Cup 2023, which is a Canadian Association of Professional Sommeliers. He will talk about his journey to Master Sommelier and wine and food pairing. I hope you enjoy this one. Hi, Chris. Welcome to Honest Wine Talk. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good. So, where are you right now?
I'm in Dundas, Ontario, where I've been living for over 8 years, working in the same restaurant for 8 years. So I'm about half an hour away from Toronto, but I'm originally from Quebec City, western part of Canada, French speaking province. So I moved 8 years ago to do with a friend to do a winemaking class. I didn't want to be a winemaker, but just to learn more about that aspect of the job. I was working in a nice restaurant in Quebec City and found a great restaurant where I'm right now in Dundas, Ontario. As I said, been there for 8 years, and yeah, still there. I'm in charge of the wine list, the cocktails, and I'm also a server at the same time. It's a small family-owned restaurant. We don't have a massive wine list, but great things that we change all the time. We have nice tasting menu as well, and then so we play with wines and cocktails.
Great. So, what kind of food do you guys serve?
We're kind of a French restaurant, but we do a little bit of everything. We have some our classic that we always keep on the menu. For example, scallops is a big, very popular. Scallops, duck breast, beef tenderloin, but we always change the sides. So yeah, we play around, and we also do nice fresh pasta. So we're not just a real French restaurant. We play with everything. We have very talented people in the kitchen that all have their own skill, and so it's pretty fun to do have a variety of food to go with different wines, and we do tasting menu as well, which is always fun.
So before we actually go into our main topic, I just have one question. What do you think is the best pairing for your scallop?
Oh, well, it depends with what it's served, but for me, scallops I love with Riesling. As I said, like it depends with what it's served. You can have fun with the nice Chardonnay or something, but I really like scallop with Riesling. That's one of my favorite thing with scallops for sure. Even either dry or sweet. I like Riesling with scallops.
Why would that be?
That's a great question. I mean, just there's nice saltiness on the seared scallop to go with the acidity of the Riesling. You can do like a classic sauce vierge with that, or this Riesling for me is very versatile because it can be made in so many different style. It can be rich, it can be sweet and dry. Yeah, I just personal preference for that seafood.
I see, I see. Actually, we would you introduce yourself? We we dove right into talking about your restaurant and your job. So could you introduce yourself to our listeners, your name and where you're from and what you do? Yeah, just about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Christophe Reitz. I'm from Quebec City, Quebec City, Canada, and I now live in Dundas, Ontario, about half an hour from Toronto. And yeah, I passed the Advanced Sommelier in October 2022, and I went straight to keep going for the Master Sommelier examination. So I passed my advance in 2022 October in St. Louis, Missouri, in the state. That was a very good day.
Oh, what do you mean? That was a very good day.
Well, it was a good. I worked pretty hard on achieve that. It's not easy. It takes a few years. I did not pass on my first attempt. That was just before COVID, and when COVID happened, that was a big good actually. Like COVID was not a good thing, but it was a good opportunity for me to study and to achieve that. So when COVID happened with the lockdown and everything, I got to spend a lot of time on studying at home and get that thing done.
So COVID did something nice to us. I mean, COVID wasn't too bad for you. That's 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 good to know. So, well, actually, for those of you who don't know, Christopher Reitz actually won 2023 Caps Cup Tasting Challenge in the Ontario chapter last year. So, congratulations. That must have been another good day for you. So today I want to talk a little bit about how you prepared for that competition along with your advanced sommelier exam. So yeah, what strategies did you use during the competition that you helped you succeed?
Yeah, so that competition. So when you study and practice to go for a test for the advance, for example, or a competition, normally it's well, especially the advanced or master, it's verbal. So you don't it's not really, it's all verbal. And that competition was kind of different. We had a big paper, and there was some question to answer about those wines, to qualify the wines and identify. So what I did is I didn't read the paper at all. I just blind taste all the wines and made my idea, because I didn't want to be influenced by the questions. I made my idea, and then afterwards I read the papers, like, okay, um, what is this, and had my idea already, and I didn't change anything, and it worked. We had some fortified wine as well. We had a sherry, and I think there was 8 wine or something, 6 or 8, and yeah, that's the way I did it. I just taste my wine and made my idea the way I normally do it on a regular basis.
Mm. So how do you practice those tasting sessions? So blind tasting is something that people really struggle with, and even the idea can be very daunting, tasting something blind and assessing it. And also people get hung up on the idea that you gotta get it right. So how do you set that practice, and how do you control that process?
Well, yeah, blind tasting can be hard, and I would say taste a lot of different wine and know your classic. And we have a great tasting group that we meet every week, and we bring a white and a red. We all blind taste each other, and so just tasting all the different wines on a regular basis, I would say is the key to do that. And that tasting group is great. There's no judgment. We don't we're wrong all the time, and yeah, just always taste stuff that you don't even like, and the more you taste, the more it get to your to your brain to remember.
So how often did you have that tasting sessions with your tasting group? And
I was
how was it set up?
Yeah, I would say once a week, at least once a week, like 6 or 8 of us, and we would do 2 rooms. So everybody will bring a white and a red, and we'll do a group downstairs and a group upstairs. So everybody bring a white and a red. So a small group will taste those wine, and then we will choose the wines that we want to blind taste the group upstairs, and they will do the vice versa, like the same thing, to get a flight of 6. Because when you go for the advanced or the master, you have 3 whites and 3 reds. So we will make a flight of 6 for the other people, and so one person will go up, one person will go down, and the other people will listen and to it, and we'll all talk about it after. That's a very good way, I think, to approach that the tasting for when you prepare for an exam.
Hmm. So then how do you form that tasting group? Did you have enough people around you who are going for also the Master Sommelier exam, or Did you have to find them on the internet? How do you get connected to these people who are really into wine?
It was pretty much just like knowing some. So when I started at my restaurant, my restaurant is called Quatrefoil restaurant, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that in Dundas. Um, my good friend, also my mentor who got me to the court of Master Sommelier, we would start just tasting together, and then when you're in the industry, you meet other people doing this, and another met another person who wanted to create a tasting group, and so we some people from the area we just got together and started a tasting group, which is was pretty amazing.
I'm right. So, becoming a master sommelier, achieving that advanced sommelier certification was also a great achievement and success. But what made you what made you pursue becoming a master sommelier as well? Because it can be a long process of working because you have a day job you have a job as well. So it's a long process. So what drives your passion to reach this prestigious level?
For me, it's always having a something um, something coming up, like a goal, and even if you don't uh, pass this year, because it takes a long time, it's a long process, as you just said, but having at least a date for an exam or a competition, it push you to study, and you just learn more about it, and you just become a better sommelier every day. When you study, it just push you to keep going, especially when you have study group like I do. Okay, we study it twice a week on Zoom at least. So you want to study and before your meetings. It's yeah, it just pushes you to that.
Right. So you have an exam coming up in April.
Yes.
Yeah. And could you tell us a little bit more about the exam, where it's happening, and how you're preparing for that exam? You just mentioned the Zoom sessions briefly. So yeah, how are you preparing for it?
Yeah, so the exam is the Master Sommelier. So it's the theory first. You have to do the theory first, and it's all verbal. So you sit in a hotel room. There's three Master Sommelier asking you question about 100 question. I think they change every time between 100 and 110. And the thing, it's all verbal, and you cannot go back. That's the challenging part. So if you don't know the answer or not sure and say pass, and then 2 minutes later, oh, I remember that answer. It's not like if you're on paper, it's like, oh, I remember that. It's too late. You cannot go back to answer. It's too late. So yeah, and you need 75% to pass the Master Sommelier theory. And if you pass the theory, you can go for service and tasting.
Right. So you can't go back. You can't correct yourself.
No, it's too late.
Oh, okay. Then how do you practice that part? Because I don't think you can talk to the wall when you practice. So how do you practice the verbal part?
Yeah, but the thing is, study theory right now, and as I said, I have a great study group on Zoom. The three of us taking the test this year. So we normally during the year we have a topic every week, and we study and we just get together to talk about it. But now that we're close to it, we're starting doing um, a proper test, like a mock test. So one person, one Tuesday will do 100 questions for one person, just verbal, like if it was the exam, and then the next meeting it will be another one to ask the question to another person. That's we just do the classic proper test that we will get asked at the exam.
Well, it sounds like you have a really good group of people that you are preparing this exam for, and I'm guessing it's also a very good support group that you guys hold each other accountable.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's and we challenge each other and we learn from. So it's nice to study by yourself, but also you learn so much by hearing what other people have to say about something. Because some information that you will never find if you were just by yourself.
Right. So can you tell us an example question, one of the questions that you practiced recently for the mock test?
Oh, yeah, for example, okay, so some questions I had a hard time with that I'm getting better that I've seen because I took the master theory last year and I did not pass. It was my first time. It was 6 months after the I passed my advanced, so I'm going back. For example, one of the questions was what is the percentage of humidity in the Alentejo region in Portugal? So that's the kind of question I was not familiar with at all. So I had to start to read about to have at least have an idea of what the range on a different region or the average rainfall in Australia in different region or something. So I've been working on those kind of questions.
So would you say that this is mostly memorization?
For those, it's more understanding. For example, if you Yakima Valley in Washington. Okay, if you have an idea, it's about 200 millimeter rainfall, so it's very dry. So if you think, okay, let's go to Burgundy now, so you know there's gonna be more rain. So you kind of have it's more understanding the different region for that. But some are memorization. Like if you ask another question we can get, it's like what is the minimum result sugar for called the Chaume, like a sweet wine. So that's memorization. It's just remembering a number.
Right. So
So
you
it's
have to,
a mix of both of understanding and memorizing thing.
mm, right. Uh, right. So when you're studying a new region, it must be quite difficult for you to understand the region without having been there. But I know that you went to Portugal quite recently on a wine
Hmm.
tour, right? So going there in person, did it help you understand the region a lot better?
Oh yeah, absolutely for sure. Yeah, I went to Vineyard in December. Kind of the same trip did in New York in November, and yeah, of course it helps to see the region and the climate and just seeing the vines. Okay, that's kind of type of vines, and also tasting those wines that are not very big in our market at the moment. For example, Vineyard in the market doesn't have that really big reputation. It's known for cheap wine with a bit of bubbles, but we had some fabulous, amazing wines there that I was very impressed. Some old vintage from the 90s that I would have never thought it was Vineyard in a blind tasting. So, and also all the food and all that together. It was a big learning experience for sure.
Wow. So could you tell us a little bit more about the wines in Vinho Verde? Because I don't think it's yeah, as you said, people associate that wine with cheap bulk wine. But what was your experience like? You just briefly mentioned that there were some old vintages. But yeah, could you tell us a little bit more about the trip?
Yeah, so we went to Porto. Actually, I was one with my friend as well, who's going for the master with me this year. So we studied together every week, and it was nice to travel together. And no, those wine are amazing. So for white, Alvarinho is the main grape, kind of similar to Albarino. Well, it's the same grape actually, and it just next to Rias Baixas, we're very close to that region. And yeah, a lot of wine were amazing, and some reds as well. Uh, delicious wine. I didn't expect to enjoy those wine as much, and I think they should be more in a market for sure.
It's always interesting to find something new that you don't you especially when you least expect it. The surprise is always really nice. Right. So let's get back to your study process for the Master Sommelier exam. Um, Apart from the Zoom sessions, it's a little difficult to picture for us to see how you're studying. So, what are the resources and tools and techniques that you find essential in your preparation?
Yeah, so um, well, obviously books. Books. Also, there's resource. Guildsum is a big resource on the internet. You have to get a membership, but it's very worth it. For sure, I've been studying only pretty much only on that for a long time, and then I changed a little bit with other source. So I think Wine Searcher, which is free, amazing as well. You get information from everywhere in the world. And when I study, I always pretty much have the a friend of mine told me that a couple of years ago when I was starting to study, and it really helped. I have the Wine Atlas open just for the Wine Atlas from Hugh Johnson and Jancis Robinson, just to have the maps. So when you study something, you can have a look at the map at the maps in the atlas. And what I do is when there's something important that I think that's really helped me, it's I write on my atlas. Like, for example, next to an appellation on the map, I will write important stuff. So sometimes when you don't want to do flashcard or read a book, I just, example, you're tired after work or whatever, but you just want to do some review or something. I just open my atlas and just go page after page, and I can see the map and what's important next to every region. Just some stuff. For example, okay, the grape is there. This is the grape. This is a percentage of or percentage of alcohol allowed there or something like that, just for as an example.
Right. I think, one of the things that people struggle a lot with when we study is to look at the map, place the place, but also memorizing those regions.
Yeah.
Again, without having to travel there, we have to memorize the entire the map of the world, and
Mm,
especially, I mean, you speak French and English, so probably a little bit easier, but still, those little towns in Italy or the little towns in Spain, they don't really come easy. So, what are your techniques to memorize those little places in a different language?
I think it's just to review, and you have notes, and just for me, the more I see something, the more I will remember. But everybody is different. And for example, when I just to get back to the map thing, some people just draw maps, like, but I can't because I'm not really good with drawing things. So I just have the map and I put my notes next to it. Some people draw things and it works for them. But yeah, I think it's just reviewing. Like, I'm more a visual person, so when I see something time after time, I will maybe remember it, hopefully.
Yeah, I think I'm similar in that way. I just have to review it. There's no way that I can remember it in a different way. Just had to look at it, almost like memorizing the image of the
Yeah,
letter.
there's some tricks to remember stuff too, but just the as I said, when you're tired and just walk, like just look at the notes, and sometimes the next day, I remember that thing.
Right. So how are you feeling about the upcoming exam? It's quite soon. Uh,
Yeah,
where would you say that, how much do you think that you're prepared on a scale of 1 to 10? Where do you think you are right now?
that's a hard questions. I mean, that test is very very hard, and you never know what's gonna be the test for. So I don't think you can really be really prepared, but I'll try to get prepared as much as I can. But you never know, one it can be your day one day, and like your test, I mean, things that you know, and it's tough question.
Mm. So what's something that you struggle the most in the test preparation personally?
I'd say I'd say really understanding viticulture, because everybody or viticulture or winemaking, because when I travel to producer or to region, it's always different. Like, everybody do things different, and yeah, understanding the process of viticulture and winemaking, I think that's my biggest biggest thing.
Hmm. So in that Master Sommelier exams, do you have to specify the viticulture of how wines are made? Is that
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of
they
the
can.
theory
Yeah,
exam?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Ask a question about it for sure.
Could it be
And also,
specific to a brand or is it the region in general?
I mean, more like why this grape. For example, I got asked that question today actually in my study group. I think it was why that grape they have to do pruning later than another grape or something like that. So you have to understand like, okay, well, the reason of why this grape have to do pruning because okay, the frost will come before, so they're early budding and those kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, right. I'm doing my WSET diploma right now, and then just
Oh,
that's
nice.
exact part I'm going through at the
Yeah,
moment, the
that's
pruning and
that's more exactly like a W set questions for sure. Yeah.
right, right, right. Oh, that's very interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm struggling with those questions. I should get my thing together. But yeah, it's my struggle sometimes.
Mm. So I mean, you've been working as a sommelier in your restaurant for many years now. So
Yeah,
what would you
8 years. Yeah.
say? Yeah, it's a long time. So you must know ins and outs of the business around that area and in Canada as well. So what would you say is a wine scene like in Canada in relation to the US or the other countries that you did know of? What's a unique the wine culture in Canada?
I would say it's very different from place to place. I mean, I'm from Quebec City, which is totally different because in Canada for wine we have so we have like SAQ, LCBO, which is their monopole. So for wine, so we don't have like small shop like in the States. You have like you can go to a wine shop to buy wine, but in Canada it doesn't work like that. So it's by province. Um, yeah, so in Quebec it's the ACQ, so they control everything. Pretty different.
Mm. And as you've been as you're working as a sommelier, what are the wines that you think that do particularly well in your region compared to other regions?
Where I'm at the moment,
Hmm.
yeah, for me so where I'm, it's the Niagara region. Uh, for sure, Riesling and Cabernet Franc are my the thing I believe the most. Kind of similar to the climate of um, sorry, New York, Finger
Mm.
Lakes. So Riesling Cabernet Franc, amazing. Also, I think Pinot Noir and Chardonnay goes pretty well as well.
Mm.
But there
So
are
they are the
always some producer that makes amazing stuff out of other grapes, and oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
right, like the one that we tasted in Cuca Lake Vineyard. We tried 2009 Vigneault. That was very
yeah,
interesting to taste.
absolutely. Those ones were amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You got the bottle of it, didn't you?
Pardon me?
Didn't you buy a bottle there?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Right,
That was a great
right,
trip.
right. So in your restaurant, so what kind of wines are popular these days?
I mean, I'm in the old town. Dundas is a pretty old town, and we have a lot of regulars, more older clientele. So I pretty much a classic. We sell a lot of Chablis and Bordeaux and stuff like that. Really the classic things, but I have a bit of everything.
Mm. So what kind of wine that you like serving the most? Which ones that you get most excited about serving?
Hmm, it's a good question. I'm excited to serve wine when I do tasting menu, just for pairing. I like to talk about the pairing, um, but I'm excited when I have a new wine that I haven't seen in a long time, and just arrive and I open the box, put it on the list, and probably will sell it right away.
Mm.
I don't have a specific wine for that as an answer, but I'm always excited when I got a new wine that I was waiting for a bit to have, and it arrived. I'm always happy to open that bottle for it.
That's something really interesting about wine. Even if you drink wine every day, all the different kinds, if there's a new one, it's always exciting.
Yeah,
That's something interesting about wine in general. Right. So then could you tell us an example of your tasting menu, just to get an idea of what kind of food and wine pairing you guys serve? I mean, we talked a little bit about scallops and Riesling pairing as we start our talk, but yeah, could you tell us a little bit about, for example, what you're doing this week?
absolutely. Um, for example, this week we had so we do tasting menu every Friday. So we start this week with a foie gras torchon with some rhubarb gel with celery, almond, cream, vin coteau, which is like a reduction with toasted brioche, which is classic French. So foie gras torchon, very rich, creamy, buttery. It was awesome. We had the scallops as well, some cauliflower, truffle, beurre blanc, porcini, mushroom reduction. It's kind of French thing as well. I think we had Isle of Skye salmon as well. So pan-seared, nice crispy skin on with Meyer lemon relish and smoked mussel bisque sauce with some vegetables and a beef tenderloin, which is very classic at my restaurant from Cumbres, which is a farm just next to the restaurant, so it's very popular. So Cumbres beef tenderloin, some maitake mushroom, aligo potato, which is like potato with a lot of cheese, classic red wine, borderline sauce with the bone marrow in it, which also very French classic as well.
So what kind of wines are you pairing? Are you changing the pairing wines every time, or do you have a set pairing
Yeah.
menu?
Every no, I change it all the time. Yeah, every
Hmm.
time because the tasting menu change every week, so I change it every time with whatever I have available.
So, for example, this week, what are you serving with foie gras?
I'm not sure yet.
Oh, you don't know yet.
Yeah.
Anything that you can
So
think of right now? Yeah.
yeah, I like to serve a sweet Riesling with the foie gras. I have a really nice Birnauschlese Riesling from Selbach Oster from the Moselle. I think that is fantastic to go with that. The balance of the sweetness to go with that, but it also depends on what course the chef wants to do it, because foie gras torchon can be served as a appetizer as a first course, but personally, I really like it as a dessert. I would eat it more as a dessert, but that's up. But sometimes it's an appetizer, so I can serve it with champagne to start as well, or
Mm.
any great sparkling from the region also.
Right. So then it sounds like you have a good thing going with your chef. So how do you communicate with a chef? You must, because it's like a dance, it's like a choreography. You have to make sure that your chef and you as a sommelier, you have to marry the pairings really well. So how do you communicate?
Well, we talk about the pairing, especially when we do wine dinner, because we do wine dinners a few times a year as well, which is great. Sometimes I talk about the wine. I choose the wine. For example, we did a that was one of my favorite. Few months ago, we did a cheese dinner, but not a cheese and wine, but every courses, so 5 courses, had a cheese involved in the course. So I did all the classic cheese and wine pairing. For example, I had Munster with Gewürztraminer, which is such a classic. Crottin Chavignol from France, from the Loire Valley with Sancerre, another big classic. I think had Manchego with Riora, so all the classics. So it was not cheese and wine, but every dish had cheese involved with it. So we put that together. That was very fun. And we also did one recently with the 5 French mother sauce, which is a big thing. The 5 original sauce. So there's hollandaise, bechamel, tomato, velouté, and what's the other one? Bordelaise. And so every dish had that sauce involved, and I pair the classic wine to go with that. So yeah,
That sounds really
that was fun.
exciting. I want to go to
Yeah.
that restaurant right now.
I'm working on the next one. It's gonna be in May. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do, but we'll figure it out.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay. But to become a good sommelier, I think you need to have a deep understanding in food as well, because it's unless you just work in a wine bar where you only serve wine. Most of us, most of you work in a restaurant. So how do you enhance your understanding in food, apart from just learning by eating? How
Well,
do you learn?
yeah, well, I cook a lot. I cook a lot. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love to cook. And I was in when I first started in the wine, I was in culinary school to not as not to learn how to cook, but in the culinary school, and it was a program to learn how to the hospitality program. So we had cooking class as well. So and I just always like to cook after work, and I cook a lot. That's I learned by myself pretty much. So and look at the people cook in the kitchen as well. I think it's a great way to learn for sure, but by yourself. And I also live with my roommate is a sous chef at my restaurant, so I can ask questions and I just got 5 people yesterday for dinner at my place, and I cook a couple with a 4-course menu, and so it's nice with sommelier with the so that was fun. I like to experiment stuff.
Oh, that sounds really amazing, and also sounds super fun and dangerous to live with your sous chef. You must be eating great food and drinking great wine.
Well, I think I cook more than him at home because he cook all day at work. So,
Oh, right. That's true. That's true.
but
But
if I have questions, I can ask.
mm, all right. I mean, it must come in handy to live with your sous chef. You
Yeah,
must have a lot of great conversations around the dinner tables or the nighttime tables, nighttime snack tables.
yeah, right.
So do you think that you got to be creative to become a good sommelier? Because you like cooking and learning about new wine. It's all about creativity and curiosity. Do you think they play into your learning aspect?
Sorry, can you say that again?
So it's cooking is about creativity, right? You have to be quite creative with what you cook, what you make, but also coming up with the pairing menu is also to do with your knowledge, but also creativity that you're trying out something new. So do you think that is the fun part of your job, being creative? Is that something that you have in your character?
Yeah, I think I like the classic, like the very classic pairings. Example like oyster champagne, like all the classic Sauternes and foie gras. And for example, when a couple years ago, I got invited to a dinner, a tasting menu dinner in Toronto, and it was a Chateau Yquem dinner, which is a Sauternes, very famous producer, sweet wine, and it was every wine was Sauternes to pair with everything, and there was a like very classic pairing, for example, blue cheese, blue cheese ice cream to go with the Sauternes for dessert, very classic, foie gras as well, and one of the main course was a lobster, spicy lobster with very spicy lobster with chili. And before I tasted, I was like, that doesn't sound good as a pairing. And it was by far my favorite pairing. So
Oh,
if you
wow.
when you ask about experimenting things, I mean, it was my favorite pairing of the night, and I never thought of that. So very sweet, sorry, spicy lobster with chili with very sweet wine. It was amazing pairing.
Oh, I cannot really imagine.
I mean, neither. I couldn't, but it works perfectly.
Oh, I need a recipe so I
Well, I
can
have to try
try
it
it.
again, but that was my favorite thing. I don't know why.
Oh, that's interesting.
I just like the classic, really like my classic pairing. But yeah, experimenting stuff and discover new pairing that surprise you. It's very fun.
So from that inspiration, that Chateau Yquem dinner with a spicy lobster, have you tried something similar at your restaurant? Something that's completely out of the books?
I don't think so. Not recently, because I do the pairing, so I've never. I kind of go more classic than that, but I should maybe do it at some point. Yeah,
Right, we'll catch up
something.
next time then.
Yeah.
All right, all right. I have a couple of questions left now. So you've achieved a lot in your career. You've already become advanced sommelier, and now you're going for master sommelier. So what would you advise to people who want to become a sommelier, who's dreaming to become one, or who is actually in the process of becoming an advanced sommelier? What would you say to those people?
Probably to get if it's possible, to have people around you that are kind of want to do the same thing, have a group to uh to help each other out, like either for tasting or for theory. And also don't rush it too much. Take your time to learn. And also when you start learning about wine, sometimes people think, oh, they know so much. But there's a quote that a lot of sommeliers say that the more you know, the less you know. So that when you learn a lot, but at some point it's like, oh, when you go further in the process, you're like, oh, I don't know that, I don't know that. And like, well, you feel like you know nothing and you think you know something. So don't think you know everything, because you'll never.
Right. In the learning curve, I think when we know little, we think we know a lot, but then the more you learn, the more you get lost. It
Yeah.
becomes it's a strange thing, but then after you pass that stage, you do get to a really good stage where you can understand things a lot better. All right. And I wish you luck with your exam in April. And where is the exam happening?
In Atlanta.
So are you making
Atlanta,
a
Georgia.
right? So are you making a trip out there? What's your itinerary look like?
I don't know. I'm just gonna go for because the exam is only one day, so I haven't planned anything yet. Maybe I'll stay a day or two after, but no plan yet. So we'll
Okay.
see.
All right, all right. Well,
Going
I
for the
wish you
exam.
luck.
Thank you.
I wish you luck. And yeah, thank you so much for talking to us. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us to our listeners?
I think wine is fun to study, and you need to like to study. Because for me, I really enjoyed to study the theory and tasting and all that. So you need to enjoy doing it and be patient, because you might have some failure for sure. You might pass your test on the first time, and if you don't, and if you pass on the fourth time, it doesn't matter. Like nobody, when you have a title, you have it. It doesn't matter if it's the first time or the eighth time you get it. It's a long journey, and at the end of the day, it just makes you learn more and be a better sommelier for the restaurant and for yourself. So work hard, take your time, and at some point it will pay it out.
That's great advice. I think people are sometimes result oriented, but it's about the
Yeah,
journey. You have to enjoy the journey.
yeah.
Then my very last question today. What makes a good sommelier?
I think it's to be open to any wines, and to like to try everything in a tasting manner. I mean, I know that a lot of people just drink what they like, and to become a good taster, you have to drink also what you don't like. So, not yeah, if you don't like, for example, carbonara from Chile, you don't like that, but you still have to taste it. Sometimes I will buy a bottle of wine that I don't like for dinner, but the more you try those things, the better you will get at indulging that. So that's for tasting. And for theory, I would say just when you study, just enjoy doing it, and it's not a task. You want to have fun to learn things, read different things, and ask questions about what you study to other people that are around you, and to be around people that are doing the same thing as you.
Right. So what's currently something that you find it the most interesting to study?
The most is interesting to study, I'd say like Eastern Europe. For me, it's kind of hard, like Slovakia, and we see more of those questions in tests, like Eastern Europe, and also a lot more question about China and Japan. Like Asia is getting very big in the court. I think we had 3 out of 100 questions last time. I think we had 2 or 3 questions about China and Japan. So I think Asia is getting big as well. So it's have to always be updated. And in the US, the AVA, the American Agricultural Alliance, there's always a new one. There was one that I learned yesterday. It's a new one a couple of weeks ago. It's called Contra Costa. So there's always a new American a new AVA in the state as well. So I always have to keep updated.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You have to keep reading the news and keep reading,
There's
keep
always
updating.
new things coming. Yeah.
Right, right. Oh, okay. Well, I really wish you luck. I hope there's a good result, but if not, you're enjoying the process. So hopefully you'll make it one day. And yeah, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we learned a lot from you about becoming a master sommelier and how to prepare for the exam and what your restaurant's like, the tasting menu. I think we covered a lot of different topics and it was really fun. Thank you so much for coming, Chris. But I hope to talk to you again.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.